Okay. Okay, check, check. Can you all hear me? Okay. Okay, sounds good. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Frances Hui. I'm the Policy and Advocacy Coordinator at the Committee for Freedom in Hong Kong Foundation. Today, we stand together in the shadow of the U.S. Capitol to bring attention to one of the most prominent and the biggest national security case in Hong Kong involving the Hong Kong 47. Today marks a critical moment in the ongoing struggle for freedom and democracy in Hong Kong. For over 3.5 years, the majority of these 47 brave individuals have been unjustly detained and denied bail throughout this prolonged and grueling process. They now face sentences that range from 4 years to a decade in prison, simply for participating in a democratic primary election. These 47 individuals represent more than just names on a court docket. They're leaders, activists, legislators, campaigners, counselors, and ordinary citizens nurtured by Hong Kong's previously vibrant political scene. They dare to hope for a brighter future, a future where democracy thrives, not just in Hong Kong, but as a cornerstone of global values. But most important of all is that they are our friends who we have shared lives with. Their prosecution is a stark reminder of the lengths to which the CCP will go to silence dissent and extinguish hope. We're here to shed light on these stories, to reflect on the global implications of these cases, and most importantly, to call for decisive policy actions from the U.S. government and international partners. Today's speaker will bring with them a wealth of insight from policy and advocacy to personal experiences. So we will expect Speaker Nancy Pelosi to come. It's not on the press brief or the media advisory, but we know that this issue is dearly to her heart and she intends to come here as a priority. And we will also expect Representative Chris Smith, the chair of the commission, the Congressional-Executive Commission on China. In my back, there are advocates from Hong Kong. All of us have been following the issues on the ground and in the court yesterday. And all of us will be able to share more of our personal reflections, some of the analysis, and some of the call to actions in the future. So, okay, so without further ado, I would like to introduce our first guest. As I mentioned, our speaker is a steadfast advocate for human rights and freedom in Hong Kong. He is the chair of the Congressional-Executive Commission on China. Representative Chris Smith, please.
How are you?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Chris Smith. I'm the chairman of the China Congressional-Executive Commission. It's a bicameral, and matter of fact, includes the executive branch organization that's focused on human rights and exposing the violations committed by the Xi Jinping dictatorship. And I want to just say that today is a dark and a very somber day. We woke up to sentencing of the Hong Kong 47, 45 of which were collectively sentenced to 245 years, 6 months in prison for the simple crime of exercising democracy. Among those sentenced was Joshua Wong, someone I have gotten to know and who in September of 2019 sat before our commission on China and testified as to the erosion of civil liberties that once were part of that great island of freedom called Hong Kong. In retrospect, we did not think things would get so dark. But I remind people that in 2014, I introduced the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act. It was a piece of legislation that Scott Flipsy, who was right here, thought of, a member of our staff. And we did that in 2014, at the beginning of the umbrella revolution, because we believed that Xi Jinping was on a glide slope towards really serious repression, and sadly and regrettably all of that has happened. The Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act is law, and we're hoping that the administration, pursuant to those provisions and provisions of the Global Magnitsky Act, will look at those judges and those involved with these bogus prosecutions. This kangaroo court will levy very serious sanctions on those who have been abused by this system. Senator Merkley and I issued a very strong statement today as co-chairman of the commission, and we are outraged about what Xi Jinping and his cronies are doing to the great people of Hong Kong who are suffering under his dictatorship. One of our responses must be the passage of the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office Certification Act, often referred to by its acronym, HKETO. The bill authorizes the decertification of HKETOs that propagandize Americans on behalf of Hong Kong. I have gone on all three of the websites for the three cities that house them. They are filled with lies and deception about the national security law, pushing it aggressively, and they also keep tabs on the great diaspora here from Hong Kong to trouble them, to watch them, and even to harass them. And so we need the HKETO's got to go. And this legislation passed the House of Representatives. I introduced it in the House, and we're calling on the Senate. There's time. Pass it. Just do it. I'm tired of hearing from people, oh, it can't be done. We don't have the ability or the bandwidth to do it. The Senate needs to take that up right now, and I'm tired of the delay. And I would ask them to do it immediately. And finally, on the issue of Jimmy Lai. Just let me say how sad it is how they have mistreated this great man of principle. He could have left any time he wanted, given his wealth. He wanted to fight for his fellow friends and citizens in Hong Kong, and for that, for speaking truth to power, in this case a dictatorship, he is being very, very much maligned and unfortunately hurt by the judicial corrupt system. Jimmy's son, Sebastian, testified at one of our hearings, and he was just absolutely brilliant. A chip off the old block, full of life, full of articulate, strong, principled, a moral man, calling for governments, including his own, which is the UK, but calling on us as well to speak up on behalf of Jimmy Lai. Not just a statement out of the State Department, but for those who are persecuting him, real, durable sanctions. This has got to stop. China is full of great people. It deserves a better government than the dictatorship of Xi Jinping and the cronies that he has following his orders in Hong Kong. So again, we just celebrate Jimmy Lai and celebrate his great, great son, Sebastian, for the leadership that they provide. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Smith, for your remarks and your strong support in our movement. Your commission has done a lot, and I want to thank you and the co-chair of CECC for all of your strong support on this issue. Earlier, Congressman Smith mentioned the statement that CECC he issued with the co-chair, Senator Jeff Merkley, who would like to come today, but he is not able to make it. We have also invited a member of the CECC and the co-chair of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission, Representative Jim McGovern, to come today. And unfortunately, he won't be able to make it. But he did show his solidarity with the 45 and share a statement with the attendees today, which I will read out. Today, a Hong Kong court chose to sentence 45 brave pro-democracy activists to years in prison. Their crime: they took part in an informal election primary in 2020. You heard that right. It is now a crime in Hong Kong to participate in electoral politics unless Beijing says you can. These disgraceful sentences confirm what we already knew, that under the national security law imposed by the PRC, civil and political rights and judicial independence have completely disappeared in Hong Kong. Today is a sad day, but we must and we will continue to defend human rights in Hong Kong and mainland China. So I want to thank Congressman McGovern and once again for all the two commissions have done on human rights issues in China and around the world. As you can see, our next guest speaker, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi is here. She is a staunch supporter of our issue, and as I mentioned, this is her priority. She has held this issue deeply and have known some of the activists among the 47 for years. So we will give her the floor to share a few words.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My apologies for running late. We're having a hearing with the Helsinki Commission on Ukraine, and the closing remarks were about the bipartisanship and support in the Congress, in the House, and in the Senate on support for democracy in Ukraine and where we are on that. And that same bipartisanship has always marked our support for human rights in China. Chris Smith has been a champion for decades on this subject, and now as the chair of the commission, the CECC. Thank you for bringing us together, all of you, for your leadership on this important subject. What we saw the Chinese government do in the last 24, 48 hours is something so criminalizing of human rights, of peaceful protest. Of course, some of us have been fighting this fight when when the transfer happened, excuse me, we were suspicious of China respecting the basic law. Not only did they not respect the basic law, but they have passed it's cold out here, legislation. They have passed legislation again and again to further diminish any peaceful protest without punishment. So the fact that the numbers of people, 47 pro-democracy activists, are thought to more than the 1,500 Hong Kong political prisoners. Their detention is outrageous and unacceptable. And to the Chinese government we say, you think that if you arrest them, and we don't speak about it, then it will sort of go away. You say to the prisoners, nobody even remembers why you were here or that you were here or what you did. Well, that's completely wrong. Here we are in front of the Capitol in a bipartisan way, immediately speaking out these ridiculous sentences for peaceful protest, again, for criminalizing it. And that's a sinister form of torture on the part of the regime, is to say, this will be so big, people will think it's okay for us to do it. For years, the world has watched in horror as Beijing has accelerated its despicable campaign to dismantle the rights and freedoms of the people of Hong Kong. It was my honor as Speaker, working in a bipartisan way, to lead the passage of the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act to punish Beijing for the 2019 abuses and to show solidarity with the valiant pro-democracy fighters. As the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, continues to criminalize basic civil rights and suppress pro-democracy voices under Article 23, we must demonstrate that the international community stands with the courageous, freedom-loving people of Hong Kong. Again, as we gather here to honor the 47 pro-democracy activists, our thoughts are with more than 1,500, as I said already. One of the most, again, I say this, if we refuse to speak out very forcefully against China's violation of human rights, of the pro-democracy people in China, if we ignore the fact that they are reaching across national lines to go into our country to punish and to beat up pro-democracy activists, as they did last year in San Francisco during the APEC conference. If we refuse to do that because of economic reasons, we refuse to speak out against China's human rights violations because of economic reasons, we lose all moral authority to speak out against human rights violations any place in the world. That's not who we are as a country. So thank you to all of you for your courageous leadership, because China's hand reaches out well beyond China to punish and to surveil and to take actions at home on families who speak out. This is outrageous. Again, to the Chinese Communist government in Congress, in the House, and in the Senate, in a bipartisan way, we are united in our condemnation of your actions. With that, I yield back.
Let's maybe speakers and members can line up and take a picture here first, and then yeah. So maybe step further. We'll take a picture because members have to leave, so we'll take a picture now.
We have votes.